Welcome to Missouri Sports Talk. I'm your host, Cameron Staley. Today, we've got high school football predictions. So, this past week, we had some really good games. I'm excited because I'm going to start saying stats for you guys now. I used to not really trust Max Preps, and there are a lot of schools that didn't have their stats in. That's all right. I'm going to give you guys what I can. So, let's go ahead. 8-man scoreboard on your screen right now. First, Greenfield, they are on the road against Drexel. They get it done. 58-40 is the final. They had 531 total yards in this game. Concordia, obviously, they win at home over St. Paul, 54-6. Northwest, they win 42-32 over Slater at home. West Nottoway, they beat South Holt 50-0 at home. Schuyler County loses. Bramer gets it done on the road 64-34. And Lockwood versus New Heights. Very fun game. 92 points dropped by Lockwood. Their star running back, Nick Thiemann, he gets 344 rushing yards and pairs it with 8 touchdowns. Big game from Nick. Class 1 now. Windsor beats a quite awful Versailles team 60-14. 461 total yards for Windsor. 394 of those come on the ground. Gallatin, they lose to Milan 38-12. 332 yards for Milan. Not as impressive as Windsor. Nonetheless, great win on the road for Milan. Harrisburg, they beat Russellville 55-14. This is a big game for Harrisburg. They are now 3-4 on the year. Scotland County, they lose at home 26-14 to Putnam County. Marionville, they beat Sarcoxy 36-22. Big win for Marionville. They get 392 total yards in this game. And St. Vincent, they beat Cuba quite bad. Cuba didn't look great in this game. 49-16 is the final there. St. Vincent, 409 total yards. Class 2, Fair Grove, they end up winning this game 49-8. Spencer Seeger, their quarterback, 203 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no picks. Centralia wins on the road 28-14. They just have South Shelby's number, truly. Brookfield, this is the game that I was at. They win 48-6 against South Harrison. This is a great game for Brookfield. They had 551 total yards. Lafayette County, they beat Knob Noster 49-13, 323 total yards for the Huskers. Thayer, 34-8 win. They get 363 yards in this game. Valley Catholic, 50-0 over Park Hill Central. Really didn't expect that game to happen, Valley's a good football team. 358 yards is what I have here. Didn't expect them to win by 50, though. Honestly, really didn't expect that. Class 3, Wright City, they lose to Van Far. Not a very close game, if we're going to be honest. This one ends up Tyson Douglas for Van Far. He gets 291 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns as well. Big game for Douglas. Van Far, they went on the road. This is a really good win for them. St. Francis Borgia, they win 21-7 over a whole team that is struggling, if we're going to be honest. They're struggling pretty bad. 333 yards for Borgia. Mount Vernon, they beat Parkview 49-18. This is a big win for Mount Vernon. They are rolling. Pleasant Hill, they beat Odessa on the Bulldogs senior night 42-21 on the road. Garrison Hartzell, my guy G. Hartz, he gets 160 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Richmond defeats Holden at home, 34-26. Dryden Hendricks, big game, 201 rushing yards with a touchdown. And Savannah, they win 49-6 on the road over Chillicothe. I'm going to try this one. Aiden Knechthofer, I believe is how you say it. Sorry. Aiden Knechtenhofer. There's an E in there that I missed. All right. He's the quarterback. He had 187 rushing yards paired with 2 total touchdowns. I believe 1 through the air and 1 on the ground. Class 4, Warrenton, 35-0 win over St. Charles. This is a good one. Just overall, I knew Warrenton was a better team. I actually took them by 35. I believe this is the only game that I got the actual point total correct. Warrenton, they had 428 total yards in this game. Kearney, 50-0 on the road over Raytown South. Big win. That is, arguably the number one team in Class 4. I personally still believe that it's Lutheran North. Those are the 1-2 punch guys. It's going to be fun. They're on a crash course this year. Branson beats Carl Junction on the road 40-7. They had 297 total yards. Guess how many were passing? 279 on the ground. I almost said 900. I don't know what I was thinking there. Kirksville, I took them by 28. They only scored 28. They win on the road 28-13. Jace Kent, 289 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns for the Tigers. Festus, they lose to DeSmet. This is my preseason Class 6 champs in the Spartans. I'm not fully certain if I'm still standing by that. We'll see in week 10 once I make my full tournament predictions if we're still standing by that. But DeSmet, they had 485 yards in this game. And Osage, they win at home over Boonville 33-7. They held Boonville to only 185 total yards. This is a big defensive game for Osage, and they've got a tough one coming up that we're going to talk about here soon. Class 5 scoreboard. For Osage, they beat Raytown 57-25. Anthony Thompson with 276 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. North Point, they lose at home to Washington 24-23. North Point is on a 3-game losing streak. It's not looking very good for them. Parkway North, they win on the road 32-14 over the Longhorns. 410 total yards for the Vikings in this game. Farmington, they lose to Cape Central by 40 points, if I'm doing my math correctly there. 54 points is real good. Keyshawn Boyd has 238 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Carthage, they beat Republic 31-14. From looking at the highlights of this game, Republic just looked awful. They could not tackle. I don't know if Republic's making it very far this year. I want to say that they made it to the Final Four last year in Class 5. They're not doing that again. I'm sorry to say it. They lose this game pretty rough. Eureka, on the road, they win 30-15 over Lafayette. 344 total yards for the Wildcats. Class 6, Kirkwood, they beat Marquette 52-21. Marquette not looking the greatest this year. Joplin, they beat Neosho 35-14. Torrin Jones is what I'm seeing here. Torrin Jones had 170 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns. Park Hill, they beat Central by 26. 56-30 was the final there. 493 total yards. Oak Park, they win by 7 on the road. This is a good win for them. They had 364 yards. Blue Springs South, they win 41-24 on the road. This is a really good win for this Jaguars team that played pretty rough last year, and now they're 5-2 coming into, I believe this is their biggest rivalry. It's against Blue Springs, so I believe that would be the rivalry, right? Blue Springs versus Blue Springs South. If I'm using context clues there. Gary Hill, 7 receptions for 63 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 receiving and 1 as a kickoff return or maybe a punt return. It didn't specify that. And Lee Summit North, they win 35-13 over Liberty North. Those were believed to be 2 of the top 3 teams last year. And they're both, Lee Summit North obviously is a lot better. Liberty North is 4-3 this year, coming off a state championship. I still think that they're top 10 in Class 6, but they're kind of on a slippery slope right now. So we'll see if they really make any noise in Class 6 this year. The Broncos, they forced 3 interceptions off of all-state quarterback Tillman Martin. So really good game for the Broncos in this one. Let's go ahead and get to this week's predictions now. 8-man scoreboard. We'll start with North Shelby and Schuyler County. I want to take Schuyler County by 16 in this game on the road. Greenfield versus Bishop LeBlond. I just think that Bishop LeBlond is way past what Greenfield is, if we're going to be honest. I'll take the Golden Eagles on the road by 32 points. Slater hosting Paris is another one I think the road team wins. 3 of the 3 so far, I'm taking the road team. That trend will continue though, but I'll take Paris by 24. Plattsburgh versus Archie would be fun if Plattsburgh was playing to what we thought they would this year. They're kind of underperforming. They're sitting at 4-2, so I will take the defending state champions Archie by 18. That's my 4th road team that I'm taking. Appleton City versus Lockwood. I'm going to take my 5th road team. Give me the Tigers by 12 points in this game. I think, Nick Thiemann with his, what was it? Let me find it back. Nick Thiemann, 344 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns last week. I think he continues to stay hot. This should be a really fun game. And Hardin Central versus Bramer. You guys know Bramer is my preseason state championship pick, and I'm standing with that. Class 1 scoreboard now. Windsor versus Butler is where I want to go first. I think the Greyhounds win this game by 38. This game was in big contention of me going to it before Butler dropped 3 more games. They're not looking very good this year, so obviously don't really want to go to that game since they're 3-4. We know how that game's going to go. Tipton versus Russellville, this is going to be another blowout. I'm going to take the Cardinals by 31. Scotland County and Crystal City. Crystal City, a team that I haven't talked about this year for good reason. Give me the Tigers by 14. Charleston versus East Prairie. This is another team that I haven't talked about with East Prairie. I just don't know enough about them, so I need to take Charleston by 11 in this one. Ash Grove versus Marionville. Now, I know Ash Grove is ranked highly. They're 6-1 right now in Class 1, but this is Marionville. This is state champions last year. I think they win again this year and honestly may do it again next year. This may be a three-peat for Marionville if they have a healthy team, if they stay, connected. I think the Comets could win 3 in a row. So obviously I have to take Marionville in this game by 24. And the Class 1 game of the week, it's got to be Milan versus Brookfield. This should be a really fun game. I don't really know what to say about this one right now because I keep my picks secret. So, this should be a fun game. Class 2 scoreboard. Kip KC Legacy versus Father Tolton. I will be at that game Saturday morning, so stay tuned for that. Sunday should be when it uploads. So I will take Kip KC Legacy by 6. I'm not going to wait until the game to hold that prediction for you guys. Give me the Gators by 6. Caruthersville versus Portageville. I like Caruthersville in this game by 18. Warsaw versus Midway. Midway is 4-3 currently. I don't think they're on Warsaw's level. Give me the Wildcats by 20. Mid-Buchanan versus Penny. I think Mid-Buchanan wins this game by 15. I'm also not super high on Penny this year. I think they ended up falling to 4-4. Mid-Buchanan is looking like a buzzsaw right now. We'll see if they can make any noise in Class 2. North Callaway versus Van Far. Now, Van Far had a really good win last week over Wright City, 40-34. They're a powerhouse in Class 1. They should make some noise. They should at least make it to the final 8 teams. I believe for Class 1, that's actually district championships because they only have 4 districts in Class 1. Everywhere else is 8 districts. So that's state quarterfinals for everybody else, but it's district championship for Class 1. So I do believe Van Far should at least make it to the district championship. Not going to say that they win it quite yet. I'll hold off on that until we see how the bracket falls. But, with North Callaway playing really good this year and it being a home game, I just feel like I have to take the Thunderbirds. I will say North Callaway by 4. And Bowling Green versus Valley Catholic is the Class 2 game of the week. Also, the Missouri Sports Talk game of the week. This is ranked 2 Bowling Green in Class 2 and ranked 3 Valley Catholic. The ranked 1 team, Fairgrove, even if they win, I feel like the winner of this game just jumps them, right? Because if you're beating either the number 2 team or the number 3 team, what says that you're not the number 1? Because Fairgrove hasn't beat either of these teams. So I feel like when I'm at this game filming this and you see it in the morning, You should go into watching this game knowing that this is probably for the number one. And if the media guys don't say it is, then I think they're crazy. Class 3 scoreboard, Stratford versus Clever. I think Stratford wins this game by 13. Fairgrove versus Forsyth. Fairgrove on the road. As I said, the number one team in Class 2. I will take Fairgrove by 17. Borgia is hosting Vianney. Now, Vianney is Class 6, but they're not the greatest Class 6 team around. So I will take Borgia by 21. Summit Christian, they are hosting Pembroke Hill, a little Kansas City game here. You know, Summit Christian isn't the greatest team in the world. They're 4-3. Pembroke Hill, they are 7-0. I think that the Raiders continue to roll. I think they win this game by 8. Knob Noster versus Richmond. This should be a fun game. It really should, but I do want to take the road team here. I say the Spartans win this game by 15. In the Class 3 game of the week, it has to be Dexter versus Park Hill Central. Now, the Rebels, they just had a really, really rough loss. So I'm not sure how they'll respond after that 50-0 loss to Valley Catholic. But with Dexter being number 3 in Class 3 right now, this should be a really fun game. Class 4 scoreboard, we'll go with Kearney and Winnetonka first. Haven't talked about Winnetonka this year. They are 4-3. I think they go to 4-4. Kearney is just different. So give me the Bulldogs by 45. I think that's my largest margin of win on this whole entire video. Fort Zumwalt South is hosting Liberty Winsville. By the time you see this video, I am actually on the way up there to St. Peter's. I'll be filming this game. It will be up on Friday. I like the Bulldogs in this game. I think they win this one by 7. Osage versus Southern Boone is interesting this year. It really is. Tri-County Conference is quite balanced besides Blair Oaks at the top. Obviously, we know Blair Oaks is Blair Oaks. So this is a fun one. History says, though, that Southern Boone is the better team. So I will take Southern Boone by 17 in this game, but I honestly could see Osage getting it done. We'll see. We'll just see what happens. Another one that has some rude history. Savannah versus Maryville. Maryville has won so many of the last games. I can't even remember what their win streak is right now. It's a lot. Savannah just, they don't play well against Maryville. Maryville has their number. But Savannah, they are 5-2 this year. Maryville is 4-3. This is a really down year for Maryville. So if there's a year to do it, I think it is this one for the Savages. Give me Savannah by 2. Nevada versus Mount Vernon. Springfield area teams. I believe both of them are Springfield area. This should be a fun game. And they're both 6-1. I think what separates it for me, I just got to take 1 of the bigger school and 2 the home team here. Give me Nevada by 13. And the Class 4 game of the week is so obvious. Warrenton versus Orchard Farm. If I hadn't gone to Warrenton, I didn't go to Warrenton. I filmed Warrenton for the Jamboree at JC. If Warrenton hadn't been on the channel already, I would have had a really tough decision to make between Bowling Green and Warrenton this week. So, obviously, since Warrenton has already been on, they are ineligible. I can't go to them until after the district. So, I do think this would be a really fun game, though. So, Class 5 scoreboard. Neosho versus Republic. As I said, I was kind of dogging on Republic not last week. I was dogging on their performance from last week. I was just dogging on them about 10 minutes ago. I'll take Neosho by 8 points in this game. North Point, they're on a 3-game losing streak, so I think it's just obvious that they lose to Zumwalt North here. I'll take the Panthers by 22. I know that may be a little too much, but I guess we'll see. Festus, they are on the road at Farmington. Not very high on Farmington this year, so I must go with Festus by 19. Cape Central versus Live for Life. I like Cape Central this year. I keep picking them. I know they burnt me with the Jackson one, and that one went somewhat viral on TikTok. It did good numbers. Mainly people from Jackson in the comments saying, that kind of thing. Live for Life. They scheduled a really tough, They made a really tough schedule, I should say. I probably shouldn't say they scheduled a tough schedule. That sounds silly. So, Live for Life, they play Cape Central this week, and they play Helias next week. I think they go into the tournament at 4-5. They could make a run. They really could because they have such a tough schedule. They're getting ready for the playoffs with this. So I will take Cape Central by 27, but once we get into the tournament, I may take Live for Life winning some games. And Rockwood Summit versus Marquette. I like Rockwood Summit this year. They started off a little bit slow. They're playing good now. I'll take the Falcons by 10 points. And the Class 5 game of the week, Grain Valley versus Fort Osage. This is a fun Kansas City area game. Class 6 scoreboard, St. Dominic versus MICDS is where I want to go first. I want to take the Rams by 13 in this game. St. Dominic has been a little rough this year after their move to Class 6. I also don't think that they're going to do much in the playoffs because of that. Lindbergh versus Lafayette. This one's tough to predict. 6-1 teams across the board there. I want to take Lafayette. I think they're a better team, if we're going to be honest. So give me Lancers by 9. Oak Park versus Liberty is another one that's tough to predict. Liberty is 4-3, but they have some really good wins this year. So I'll take the Blue Jays to win on this one on the road by 7. Rockhurst versus Liberty North. Now, a lot of people thought that Rockhurst was the number 1 team in the state. I didn't agree with that. I never really agreed with that. I do think that the Hawklets have a good team this year, but I never thought they were number 1. And a lot of people also thought that Liberty North was number 1 in the state going into the season. I never really thought that as well. I honestly thought it was between Cardinal Ritter, CBC, and DeSmet. Now, a lot of people may cook me on the DeSmet one, but, just stay out of it, guys. This is a 5-2 versus a 4-3. Both of them not playing to number 1 team in the state standards. So I don't know who's going to win this game. It's a toss-up. I think Liberty North has played Rockhurst very well in the past few years. But I do want to take the Hawklets in this game. I'll take the home team by 4. Blue Springs South versus Blue Springs. I'm assuming this is the biggest rival for both of them. The Jags have played really good this year. I think they continue to roll. I'll take Blue Springs South by 11 points. And Class 6 game of the week, probably the game of the week in Missouri. Not the one I'm going to. It's not the Missouri Sports Talk game of the week. Definitely the Missouri game of the week, though. DeSmet versus Cardinal Ritter. Class 6 DeSmet, Class 5 Cardinal Ritter. Obviously, Ritter would be in 6 if we didn't have the enrollee limits. So they're technically a Class 3 team. You can only go 2 above what you actually would be if you weren't a private school. So, Ritter is stuck at 5. I think they could win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 this year. They're a great team. But overall, this should be a really fun game. So that's all we've got for today. It is 2:21, so I got to edit this quite quick. I'm supposed to be up in Fulton by 4 o'clock to pick up Easton, and then the game in St. Peter's is at 7. So I've got a quick turnaround here, so I got to get out of here. It's been Missouri Sports Talk. See you next time.